Disneyland, the minute you get in, there's cast members or there's characters walking around or there's kids wearing Disney apparel.
Yep.
Or maybe the castle is decorated by the season. Or maybe someone's getting married in the castle or someone's coming out. It is truly the happiest place on earth.
Yeah, I agree. Now, just to run down my introduction real quick, some of my favorite movies from Disney, like we said, was pretty much everything animated in the 80s and 90s. It was my childhood, so I'm always going to love those. I also loved The Mighty Ducks. That was a Disney movie. Yeah. Miracle, another great Disney movie. All the Pixar stuff, I pretty much liked it all except for the second Monsters, Inc. I didn't like Monsters University, but that's another story. It wasn't a bad movie. The ending was just but... And then, growing up, my favorite character, of course, as a kid, it's like being a wrestling fan. Your favorite wrestler is Hulk Hogan. And my favorite character growing up was Mickey Mouse. Nowadays, though, if you ask me that question, who's your favorite character? I go back a little farther than Mickey, and I go to Oswald. Now, the story on Oswald was Walt drew Oswald when he was working for, I think, Universal Pictures, or a company that got bought by Universal. Anyway, when he left, he thought he was going to take Oswald with him, and they told him, no, we own the rights to it. So he ended up creating Mickey Mouse because of that. Wow. Greatest blunder in the history of blunders, However, years go by, and in the early 2000s or late 90s, there's a deal going on where Disney, who owns ESPN, is going to ship off some talent to Fox and vice versa. And in the deal, the granddaughter, I believe it was, of Walt, or granddaughter of Roy, maybe, one of them, walks into the meeting and goes, that's it, the deal's over. And they're like, whoa, there's a lot of money changing hands here, and there's a lot of people moving. Like, we can't just... She goes, if we don't get Oswald, you don't get the deal.
Wow.
And she traded the rights back to the Walt Disney Company and was ready to hold up a deal, multi-billion-dollar deal, if she couldn't get those rights back. And now Oswald, if you go to Disneyland, that's the only place you can meet him.
Wow.
Met him once. It was phenomenal. I have Oswald ears, which you can only buy in Disneyland. Instead of being circles, they're rabbit ears, because Oswald was the lucky rabbit. That's who I would consider my favorite character now. Some others that hit the top of the charts would be Stitch, easily. I love Stitch. I love Wally. I love a movie where they didn't have to say a word. You knew exactly how they felt the whole movie. They didn't say a word.
I love those movies.
Great movie. So characters like that. Cars. I love the Cars. Planes, which does not get played enough. But Planes, awesome movies. Nobody talks about it, though. It's sad. Tarzan's another great movie. And Tarzan, the stunts, the way they animated all the sliding around on vines, that was all done by Tony Hawk, the greatest skateboarder in the history of skateboarding.
Wow, that's trivia I didn't know.
Yeah, see, I have a ton of this. And that, for that reason alone, because at the time Tarzan came out, I was probably in my late teens. I'm not running out to watch a Disney movie in my late teens. It's not something a normal teenage boy would do. You hear Tony Hawk did the stunts? I'm in.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm in. You got me. Hook, line, and sinker.
Yep.
But that's what Disney did so great. And like you said, the songs went so well with the movies and with the characters.
Yeah.
And then, to this day, another favorite movie, Princess and the Frog, was a phenomenal movie with an amazing soundtrack, all about being in New Orleans. Yeah. Pixar and Disney had a fight, and that's the only reason why Princess and the Frog got made. But again, even their blunders work out for Disney. They made that. They made Frozen because of that. They made the movie Tangled, which is about Rapunzel, because of that.
Yeah. It's not a blunder per se. It's a gold mine.
Well, that's my point. If you told me tomorrow, hey, Disney messed up their entire relationship with Pixar, oh boy, Disney's in trouble. Wrong. Disney's going to come out with 3 of its greatest movies ever and then get back with Pixar and fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's amazing how and you talk about like Planes, which was underrated because it was, some could say it was a spin-off of Cars.
Which it wasn't.
Something along those lines.
It was a very similar art style and direction.
Yes. And it's so underrated because it's enveloped by cars.
Yeah.
Because it has the similar animation, the similar storyline-ish. But it's amazing how it still stands the test of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There is no Disney film overshadowed or underplaced that you don't hear about.
No, because Disney did it.
Mm-hmm. You know, there's movies that we know outside the Disney realm that we don't talk about, but it's there.
Right, and there's companies like DreamWorks has some movies, right, that you'll always talk about. Like you'll talk about a Shrek forever, right? Shrek's one of those movies.
For sure.
But they have 30 movies behind that I could tell you the names of and you've never heard. However, I mentioned Planes, and you've heard about it, even if it's the most underrated Disney movie ever.
Yes. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's just so amazing, and it goes back to what I said. Disney, the title, the reputation, stands the test of time.
Well, look at what they're making now. They just had a little while back, they had the movie Coco. Mm-hmm. What an amazing movie about Dia de Muertos.
Yeah.
Unbelievable movie. And it shows off the culture so well. It was just, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. And I can't thank you enough to have me on as a co-host so we can dive into these movies.
Yeah, and I can't wait for our next recording when we actually get to start diving into the movies like this and really talking individual movies. But we're running a little long on time here. So do you have any final thoughts about, what you want out of this podcast in the long run?
I want the listeners out there to have something new. Like you talked about earlier in the podcast, and I'll bookend it with this. Different podcasts on a subject. This isn't going to be our show. Our show is going to be about the fandom and the celebration of Disney and those companies under the umbrella. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. Yeah, I would mirror those sentiments. And just say, what I really hope is that the listeners, no matter how many there are of them, enjoy our takes and, communicate with us about those takes and let us know what they think of the movies that we end up covering. So how can people contact you if they want to find you on the web?
Oh, if you want to find me on the web, you can contact me on Twitter. That's at TrekFanLV. The T, the F, L, and V are capital. I'm also on Facebook. You can contact me through that way. I'm also a member of the Disney Aficionado webpage, where you'll be able to see our podcast being posted for listeners to take a look at. Patrick, where can people find you when you're not trying to purposely get lost in Disney World?
Well, nowhere. But while I'm doing that, you can contact me because it's got cell phone service now. But you can find me on Twitter as well at MagicDrop5. It's no spaces, and the 5 is a digit, not letters. You can also find me at Disney Aficionados, the Facebook page, because, I moderate it. And, it's a small group of close personal friends of mine, but, it's a place we talk Disney and all things Disney. And you can also find me on Facebook, obviously. And that's about it. No, that's not it. I'm lying. You can also find me over on Trek FM with my really good friend Amy Nelson, where we host the Edge podcast, the main show, which is all about Star Trek Discovery.
At this time, we'd like to thank our executive producers who make this all possible. And they are Brandon-Shea, Ken Tripp, Zach Moore, and Tony Robinson. And after you've listened to us, we hope you'll drop a review and tell us how we're doing. Keep those mouse ears open for magical mutterings on the UFP network. Besides, who wouldn't want to be Kid again?
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.